everyone. I'm Dr. Angela Drummond Matthews. Welcome to Week 4 of American Literature 1. I hope you enjoyed writing your paper last week. This week we'll start Unit 2 on philosophy, biography, and rhetoric. We're going to learn about how early Americans thought, how they saw the situations they found themselves in, how they believed the country should function, and what rights they thought should be universal. We'll start with a Spanish explorer, Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. Cabeza de Vaca was a Spanish explorer who came to the Americas in 1528. He was supposed to be protecting the interests of the Spanish Emperor Carlos V and making sure that Spanish law was being upheld in Mexico. What happened instead was shipwreck and being captured by natives. Over years, Cabeza de Vaca managed to survive with a few of his men by assimilating with the tribes until they were deemed to be friendly. They managed to find a few of the Spanish settlements and finally returned to Spain in 1537. He writes about his experience with the indigenous people and his struggles to survive and to return home. Next, we'll examine the experiences of the English pilgrims in the works of Thomas Morton and William Bradford. Each man came to the New World in hopes of setting up a better way of life, but they had vastly different goals. Bradford was a deeply religious person. He was a member of the Puritan separatists who believed that the Church of England had strayed from the proper practice of Christianity and that a purer form of worship was necessary. Bradford and like-minded people sought refuge in the New World in order to create a world where they could practice their religion free from persecution. Thomas Morton had a different motivation. He came to the New World in pursuit of a trading venture. He set up trade with the Native Americans, and before long his trading post expanded into a colony. So, 2 colonies, one very Puritan and one very mercantile and liberal, were set up uncomfortably close to one another in what is now Massachusetts. The Puritans did not like the way Morton sold guns and alcohol to the Native Americans. Morton also had an infamous maypole ceremony which drove the Puritans over the edge. A maypole celebration is a festival of spring in which people erect a large pole with colorful ribbons tied to it. People grab a ribbon and dance around the pole until the entire pole is wrapped up. While this seems innocent enough, these celebrations were usually accompanied with much drinking and carousing, much to the dismay of the Puritans. The repeated conflict ended when Morton was arrested by the Puritans and sent back to England in 1628. Next, we'll jump ahead in time to the 1700s. By this time, we're well into the age of the Enlightenment. This is a time in which people in Europe began to pay attention to the philosophies of the ancient Greeks. Philosophers like Descartes and scientists like Newton were changing the way people thought about the world. They began to consider that they could look at the world with reason and objectivity and logic. They shunned emotional thinking in favor of reason. This movement also infiltrated the new colonies, and writers like Thomas Paine, Benjamin Franklin, and others embraced these new ideas and used them to reshape people's thinking about what the world could be. These ideas fueled the push for revolution in the colonies, and writers like Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, among many others, drew from them to craft what would become some of the most important documents in a new United States of America. Next, we'll look at how the Enlightenment influenced women to demand acknowledgement. Judith Sargent Murray was one of the first people in America to advocate for women's rights. She was a prolific writer and wrote under several pen names. You'll notice how her essay on the equality of the sexes makes use of Enlightenment thinking to prove her point. Finally, we'll look at the works of Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. Emerson and Thoreau are known as proponents of transcendentalism. Transcendentalism is a philosophy that asserts that the institutions of society keep people from living as their authentic selves. People are better off acting as individuals free from the strictures of religion and society. The writings of Emerson and Thoreau influenced American culture strongly in ways that you'll probably recognize as you read their works. As usual, this week you'll have an oral group discussion and discussion questions in Blackboard. There are a lot of readings this week, but I don't think they're too long for you to get through. Pace yourself and make sure you understand the ideas of each reading. We'll have an optional class discussion on Thursday. Check Blackboard for times. As always, you can email me at any time you have a question. That's all for now. Stay safe and happy reading. Bye-bye.